Hello and welcome everybody, I am Brandon, and we got a buttload of Platinum's games news to talk about today. So we had a big interview over on Famitsu with the new CEO of Platinum Games, basically talking about where he'd like to see the company going in the next few years, as well as what he thinks the Bayonetta team is going to be up to next. We got all that and more on another episode of Game Corner. Thanks for joining me, everybody. If you like what I do, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and I'll stop wasting your time. So like I mentioned earlier, Mr. Atsushi Inaba is the new CEO over at Platinum's Games. He was the co-founder of the studio and was recently promoted up to be the head guy in charge. And of course, every time we get a new CEO, we have to have an interview about where they think the future of the company is headed and what they'd like to do with, all the developers and studios underneath them. And let's just say they have some pretty big plans for live service games, which is a huge departure from what the studio is known for doing. Now, while Inaba doesn't go out of his way to say that they are in fact making live service games during his interview at Famitsu, he makes some really strong hints that they're headed in that direction. Specifically bringing up your boy Hideki Kamiya's new game Project GG and kind of referring to it as being the leader in this new direction they're going. Inaba starts out by saying, Project GG is still in the stage of testing various things, so I can't tell you much about it, but when it comes to future game production, we want to focus on creating games that are different from the past. I would like to focus on creating games that can be enjoyed and loved for a longer period of time. So Project GG is an upcoming game by Hideki Kamiya. We actually got an announcement for this game a few months ago. This announcement was the fourth in a long line of announcements that they were doing for their 15th anniversary. Obviously, along with showing off the teaser trailer for Project GG, they also announced that Wonderful 101 would be coming to Switch. They would be becoming a self-publisher, opening up a new office in Tokyo specifically for live ops games, and announcing a few titles like Soul Cresta, World of Demons, and of course, Project GG. And of course, Hideki Kamiya is the director behind the game and also the mastermind behind Bayonetta and Devil May Cry. I don't know if you've heard of a little game called Beautiful Joe. So clearly there's a lot of hype around Project GG and what it might be. I didn't really get a chance to talk about it at the time, but I remember when they released this teaser trailer, I was very, very excited at the possibility of playing like an Ultraman sort of video game. I'm a total sucker for superheroes and kaiju and mechs and stuff like that, so seeing, a hero pop in and transform into a giant robot to fight a monster, I mean, that just speaks to me. That being said, now hearing that this might be on the forefront of being some weird live service sort of situation for Platinum Games, that really brings the excitement level down quite a bit, I gotta say. Inaba goes on to say, of course we would like to cherish and create small but brilliant conceived games such as Soul Cresta, and games in which you can enjoy the process of clearing the game by going through one-off, well-designed stages, such as Bayonetta. However, the projects that we are trying to create for the future will be different in terms of their structure. Considering the changes in the market over the next 5 years or so, I think it is absolutely necessary for us to do this. I'm sorry for being so vague, but I think that's all I can tell you right now. Obviously, these statements on their own would be one thing, but they've already announced that this Tokyo studio that they opened is going to be specifically for helping out live ops games, as well as them releasing their first MMO online-esque experience with Square Enix here in March, Babylon's Fall. It's obviously not hard to start putting all these pieces together and seeing that maybe there's some more meaning behind what he's saying than it just being an open world game or, something bigger than what they've worked on before. I personally am not necessarily against the idea of a live service game if it's good and warrants my time. The problem with that is that 90% of live service games that come out end up being closed down within the first year or two, and it's such an oversaturated market, you have to be sure about where you're gonna put your time, or else you're just gonna end up investing in a game that's not gonna go anywhere. That being said, this is obviously pretty strange coming from a company that's very, very well known for making these really tight, action-oriented single-player video games. I mean, Bayonetta and Nier Automata are among some of their most well-sold and most beloved video games, and in fact, Nier Automata is one of my favorite games of all time. And picturing them just totally throwing that whole formula out to try and be like a Destiny or a World of Warcraft just kind of bums me out. There's just so many people making live service games that really don't differentiate from each other enough to make it worth your time. And unless they do something really different and big here, or even meaningful in some way, I don't really know how this is going to end up panning out for anyone but their pockets. These investors are very interested in making these live service games because even if they do bad, they're going to end up getting their return by selling you any form of microtransaction they possibly can. Not to mention, a lot of these investors know that even if they put something together that grows this small but strong community, they're going to spend more money on that game than you would have ever gotten out of some $60 title. I mean, the new CEO Inaba is clearly not an idiot. He was the co-founder of Platinum Games, so he's been around while they've been making all these slick action platformers for a very long time. So I can't blame the guy for wanting to expand the company and make something bigger and more bold out of what they're doing. That being said, I just feel like this is the complete opposite direction of kind of what they're known for doing. Live service games are easily the most oversaturated market there is right now. I mean, literally just last week, PlayStation announced that they're going to be making something like 10 live service games between now and 2026 or something like that. And then you hear people like Platinum Games trying to jump in there and then, add another one onto the pile. It's just like, these all can't survive, people. Especially with a studio just so well known for making these just really tight single-player video games. You would think that they would kind of keep going with that and just expanding on that concept, but instead it seems like they're kind of taking a 180 entirely. Like I said though, unfortunately these games make money and these people know that. So I definitely would not be surprised to start seeing these live service, live ops sort of video games coming out of Platinum really soon now. It might start as little things, just like little microtransactions or maybe even NFTs if they have the balls. But I almost guarantee that's going to end up turning into them trying to make their own ecosystem entirely. Anyway, that's about all the Platinum's Games news I have to talk to you guys about today. We were taking a look at the Inaba interview over on Famitsu. He is the new CEO of Platinum's Games. We're also taking a look at Platinum's Games' upcoming Project GG and whether or not that's going to end up being a live service video game. Like I said, don't be surprised if we start seeing little inklings of them adding things like microtransactions and other ways to monetize off their video games other than just that base price. And unfortunately, we're just gonna kind of have to wait and see what happens with all this. We really don't have that much information on what even Project GG is other than kind of just the basic setting and idea of the game. And this is really one of the first big pieces of information we've gotten since they've announced the game. Anyway, you guys let me know down below about what you think about Platinum's Games making live service video games and kind of moving away from that tight action single player thing that they're well known for. Anyway, I'm Brandon. This was Game Corner. Thanks for watching and have a kick-ass week.